Okay, Dynamite Delight. I gotta do it. It's what I say. It's just what I say. Before we get started, I want to say this, that we've been getting a lot of strange stuff that's been going on lately. I haven't made my Gump report yet on what's going on with WWE, and AEW also looks like it might be possible to get their, Endeavor Discovery deal? Possibly. I'll have to do more checking to make sure. I'm sure someone's going to say it, but don't. I'm saying it right now. Anyone who wants to give me more information, don't. I want to check it myself. I don't want you to show me. You can say that I did check it myself and there's some good information you need to check, but don't tell me what you've learned. I want to go and check it myself because I want to make sure I have at least some good understanding from the Gump report. For it, I want to make sure when I talk about WWE and Netflix and any information that I can find when it comes to AEW and possibly dealing with Discovery, I just want to make sure I can find it so I have more fun doing it. Because when you give me always information, it's fine. But this time, I don't want it. So please try to remember. And you know who you are, who leaves me sonnets, who leaves me like full pages. Don't tell me anything. You can tell me that you checked yourself and there's some good information you might like, but don't elaborate. Please don't. Anyone, please do not elaborate. If you're going to ask me what I'm thinking about the endeavor for AEW or Netflix, I'm going to tell you I haven't done my Gump report yet, which I haven't. I will be filming it soon, and then I will be releasing it. I also have another Gump report that I haven't released that was on R-Truth. I have to redo that one because of how things have been going in Raw. So I'm going to probably have to refilm that one. But please, don't tell me anything. Just simply say whatever is there. It's interesting. Fine. I'll take it for what you say. It's interesting. Just don't elaborate. Now, let's go and let's see what we have for Dynamite. I'll give it to you like this. We got a lot of good stuff here. And due to the fact that the ranking system is not active yet, this is the thing. They've talked about people's wins and losses, but legitimately, it's not out until February. So, knowing that the ranking system has not been released until next month, kind of gives them more time to be able to figure out what they really want to do with this ranking system. Look, let's make this clear. The original ranking system at first, within the first 6 months to a year, was alright. But then it became heavily convoluted because people who weren't built correctly had enough wins and losses to literally challenge and got no anywhere. Look, who I always talked about, Lance Archer, who always got to the main event but then failed to clinch it. Lance Archer. Other people who got those wins never got anywhere. And they need to make sure that whoever they let win has to have a story with it. Because if they do exactly like they did before, what is the point of bringing back the ranking system? They need to, like I said for years, where JD and Alex did not understand, they were just happy with something different, that there's wins and losses, but there was no story behind those wins and losses. It became very convoluted. It became very messy, and eventually Tony went against it. So if they are doing this correctly, where they're going to let people win, but give them some little story and hopefully character, I'm all for it. But if it's not, don't do this damn thing again. Let's move on. We got Penta versus Hangman Page. I'm going to tell you this. It was a good match. And I was not surprised Hangman Page won. I wasn't. Seeing that next, we're going to have a dealer's choice set of matches because Tony decided, because these two seem to be contenders against Samoa Joe, one is going to be able to give him a match, the other one's going to give a match. So both of them are going to choose whoever the opponents are. The question's going to be not who the opponents are, and that is important, but it's not that. The question is, how are they booking these guys to mean something when this is all over? Because I do not see Samoa Joe dropping that title. So where are we going with him and Page? Where are we going for Strickland? Because no matter what happens here, if you do not have a story for Strickland or Hangman Page, and you're just throwing them at each other again because you literally have no idea. Because it looked good for Hangman Page when he went up against Penta. Penta was a good match for him. And when it came to Swerve Strickland, I'll get to him in a few minutes, he looked fine as well. You got to give them something more than just constantly keep hammering heads. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Swerve Strickland should have had a story instead of going right back to Hangman Page. Everyone is saying, no, I know everyone is saying, oh, this is still good. No. It's not about them being that. Where is the booking going beyond Page? There was none. They had the tournament, and then they had him go right back to Page. What happens after they're finished? And if it's not Swerve who's going up against Samoa Joe, it's Hangman Page. Where do they put Swerve? If they don't have a plan for Swerve, and they don't have a plan for Hangman Page, they're just going to float again. And guess what they'll do? They'll give them the same damn thing. Put them up against each other. And as much as they give great matches, the story will become stale because it's the same thing. They put them together to make Swerve look great. Whether you say it or not, Swerve Strickland was not built correctly by Tony, and there was nothing for him until Hangman Page. It was not with Keith Lee. Keith Lee has barely been built himself. And where is he now? Is he on RH? Tell me. Sorry for the music, it's getting loud. But you get my point. Next. Swerve Strickland. And I know I'm skipping Wardlow and Trent. I'm going to get to that. But let's go to Swerve. Let's go to Trent. And I'm going to tell you this. No, not Trent. Sorry. I'm getting Trent and Jeff Hardy mixed up. You know, I know the reason why. I know the reason why I just got Trent from Best Friends mixed up with Jeff Hardy. You know why? Because we got more build from Trent wanting and looking like he wants to turn heel compared to Jeff Hardy, who we haven't seen on TV in months. I don't know if he got injured. I don't know if he had to go back to rehab, which I don't think he had because there was nothing in any information saying it. He just has not been on TV. At least not Rampage. See, like this. Maybe he's been on Rampage. I hadn't seen him in Collision. Admittedly, I didn't see Collision. I did see Collision last week. But you get my point. Not last week, because that was Hard to Kill. My mistake. I did not see Collision, so I don't know if they were doing anything with him there. But I barely seen him at all. So why would I think anything of Jeff Hardy? Yes, he's a Hardy. We love Jeff and Matt, but I wish there was a build or something to give him something so when he moves away from Swerve Strickland, I'll feel something. No, we just get a match. And it's a very rough match. But what do we really get? This helps Swerve a bit because it leads right into the segment that came in the back with Renee. And they both find out, and that's Swerve and Hangman, that they're going to do dealer's choice. But what about Matt? What about Jeff? What are they doing? Since they don't promote tag teams much, nothing. I haven't seen them at all, unless they're working on Rampage. I didn't barely see them on Collision. I actually haven't seen them on Collision. And that last week I missed, I haven't seen it. So I don't know. Let's move on. Now, we get Thunder Rosa versus a Red Velvet. Now, here's the thing. We got a Red Velvet who really hasn't been much on TV at all. Who just came back from injury. I believe she tore ACL. She just came back. But she really hasn't accomplished anything. They have no story for her. She's just doing matches. Then you got Thunder Rosa, who just came back from injury for her lower back. Who shows, look, whether you like to hear this or not, it's irrelevant. Again, Thunder Rosa should have had a signature match at World's End. The girl should have had it either with Willow Nightingale or Chris Statlander. It doesn't matter. They were not doing much with them anyway. No matter how much people say you mess up this story, there is no story. It would have actually helped either one of the stories if they had gone up against Thunder Rosa, either one of them. For Chris Statlander dealing with Hathaway, it actually makes sense that she actually beat her. instead of having a tag match a week or so before World's End. I just don't agree with it. Now we get her here. Now, since both of them have never worked together in an AEW ring, you could tell. It wasn't that Thunder Rosa's just rusty or sloppy. No. It's because these two are fully unfamiliar with each other. Let's make it clear. I'm not saying that Thunder Rosa doesn't look like she still needs some time to really get back into how she used to work. And to be honest, she used to be like this. She's down to here. I'm making it clear. Thunder Rosa used to have a style that was up here. And one of the things I was never 100% fond of is it did look like kind of like Swerve Strickland. Thunder Rosa is kind of like a Swerve Strickland. She's a great wrestler. Don't get me wrong. She does great character. She can talk. Don't get me wrong. She has a distinct look when she paints her face. There's no problem with that. But when it came to selling, I always felt that either she just didn't want to sell or she didn't sell very well. Now she went from here doing that at that high level and she's down to here. Now she can't get back up there, but you can tell that her style is slower. She's worked heavily on her lower legs, her lower back. This is not there. Let's make that clear. She is not like this. She's not. Because as you saw through the match, there were several power moves she could not pull off correctly. Now, it does not mean she's sloppy. She just focused her attention on trying to protect her back. And as I said, when she first went in that match, when it came to Abaddon, when it came to Heart and Sky Blue, you could tell her ass is bigger. Her legs are bigger. She looks more solid below. Not like she had a fat stomach. She just focused all her attention on her lower back, on her thighs, on her butt, to make her as strong as possible. This is her focus. All of it. This was not her focus anymore. And not saying she wasn't trying to lift weights to be stronger. It's just not the most heaviest thing she's going to do. And when you saw her against a Red Velvet who herself just came back, who really hasn't had much exposure on Dynamite, let alone Collision. I don't even know if she's been on all HTV or Rampage. You could tell she herself doesn't look like she's in the greatest of shape. Not because she hasn't been working out, but as they say, you only get in great shape as you continually wrestle all the time, even if you get hurt. You must always keep wrestling, and you could tell from her she wasn't that good either. So next to that, they're both totally unfamiliar with each other because from what was stated, they never wrestled one another. So what did you get? You got a sloppyish match from two women who just came back themselves, barely getting any time on TV. And now they're in a match where they both don't know each other very well. And I'm sure just Alex is going to say it was a good match. Or he'll say it was sloppy as hell. But I say it wasn't sloppy. It was not just they both weren't really in great shape. Because they still got to figure out how they want to work in their new type of physique. Red Velvet had to focus on making her knee better. But she's not like extremely athletic in that sense of jumping around. She focused more on making sure her leg works. And Thunder Rosa, her back. So now they're up against each other and it looks sloppy. When it's just they don't know each other and they're trying to figure each other out for themselves. That's just how it is. Thunder Rosa won. But you can tell Thunder Rosa didn't look as strong as she used to. And Red Velvet, even though she was a bit fast, she is not agile. She's fast, but not agile like she used to be. That knee brace, you can tell she's trying to figure out how she's supposed to work in the ring with that brace. Hell, remember, she had that knee brace over her pants that was very, very silky when she first appeared. She had to learn that she can't wear that type of style of fabric and had to get a new type of tights made so her leg would work with her brace. So this is what you get. Now, let's talk about, well, here's the thing. Willow and Trent was not a bad match. And unfortunately, I didn't watch all of it. I had to go to the bathroom. So I saw some of it, came back, so I missed some of it. But I did see that Trent lost, and I did see Wardlow win. And this was where you wonder where they're going to go. Not with Wardlow, because we already know he's established with the Undisputed Kingdom. He's going to be the one that's going to be going up against Joe eventually, because it's for dealing with, well, let's make it clear. Adam Cole is going to go after that title. He's going to make Wardlow drop it eventually. But the point is, that's set up. What are they doing with Trent? Trent has on and off shown some type of frustration, some type of aggression, and they still not pull the trigger on it. It looks like he should just turn heel. Go against best friends. Go against Chuck, go against Rocky, and go against one of his closest friends in Orange Cassidy, who is the international champion, who is now giving opportunities to anyone, friends, enemies, somewhere in between friends and enemies. He doesn't care. That makes you think, well, what does this mean? Are they dropping a hint that they're going to finally do something with Trent? That's the question. What are they doing with Trent? Moving on. I'm going to say this now. Was Deonna Purrazzo and my Tasteless Tony Storm segment good? Yes. We did a side-by-side comparison of black and white and, Technicolor. That's what they used to call it. What they used to call it before my own birth. Look, I was born in the 70s. They didn't have Technicolor anymore. In the 40s, 50s, and 60s, they had what they called Technicolor, which was just putting color on film, so you can actually see it not in black and white. And what we got was Deonna Purrazzo in Technicolor, and what we got with Toni Storm was black and white. And all the imaging and the shimmering and how it used to be in the 1920s, and they had the talkies. Go look that up. How used to be film used to be talkies like we do. And then silent films where there was no talking. You just had an organ playing music and you see subtitles like what's in Japanese animation or anime. It was a good segment. Seeing that Deonna acknowledged a Toni Storm and she made it very clear, I don't know what's going on with you. What is your deal? I've known you for a while. Who's the person I'm going up against? And Toni, making it very clear, she does recognize the Purrazzo or Deonna. And that she was one of the most interesting and most greatest technical wrestler. But if you do anything, I'm going to twist your lips into a pretzel, basically. That's what she said. And you think because of our past history as friends, that gives you the right to skip the line and try to go after my title. Essentially, that's what it came down to. Deonna made it very clear. I'm not trying to skip the line. We were friends. But I'm making it very clear. I'm going to go through the roster. I'm going to go through everyone. And then I'm coming to you. And make it very clear. I want the old Toni Storm. The one that I knew that worked her ass in Japan. Who came to America and slept in my house. That also, and she exposed her, her left or right, I think her right leg. And shows a tattoo. And crazy enough, when you see Toni, she pulls up her leg and the same tattoo. They both have the same tattoos because they were such good friends. So Jamie Hayter is not the only one who's one of the closest friends to a Toni Storm. It is Deonna Purrazzo. I think in real life, if they did tattoo sharing, they must be really close. Not saying she isn't Jamie Hayter's friend too. But those two probably that close to have matching tattoos. They must be really close. If that is a real story, which it probably is, that Deonna let a Toni Storm stay in her home. That was before the pandemic. Let's make this clear. Before the pandemic, because she did go over to WWE through the Mae Young Classic. That means in the mid-2010s, she was probably working with Purrazzo, who was living in America, but also working in Japan or AAA, and she let her live with her. They became really close. And then when it came to Jamie Hayter, when the pandemic happened, they stayed together there too. So she's got two friends that she lived with that probably priceless to her, that precious to her. And it's got to be giving her so much happiness that she's now working with one of our two greatest friends. Hopefully they are. But what do we get? We get a little bit of attitude. We get shoe thrown at one another. One thrown at Deanna, the other one thrown at Tony. And then we get almost a Fujiwara, the armbar. I always mess up when it comes to Fujiwami. I'm messing it up. I'm so bad with names and things. But you know what I mean. The very signature move that she is known for in Impact Wrestling, she tried to put on a Deanna Purrazzo on Tony, and it was, it's kind of hard to see where Mariah May is going to fit in, because it's obvious Mariah is going to be eating a pin to Deanna. And even though she just protected her, when will this match happen? Will it be next week or the week after next that Mariah May will be going up against Deanna Purrazzo? Or are they going to let Deanna go through a few more people like Taya Valkyrie, who I'm going to say something about in a minute, which I'm kind of pissed about? Is she going to keep going through the roster? Is she going to go up against maybe Kiera Hogan? Will she go up against Kiera? Will she go up against Chris Statlander? Will she go up against a Willow Nightingale? I'm hoping she'll go up against all of them before she reaches Mariah May, which will give Mariah May more time to be able to work on the roster and get some wins of her own, because she's only got one win. If I see her go up against Deanna and lose immediately, it's trash. And now let's go to Taya Valkyrie, and her hubby is right by her side. And she talks about dealing with Deanna, and she's going to go and have a match with her. I believe it's on Collision. Here's the thing. No build. No story. Just a match because they need a body thrown at Deanna. And since they have faced each other and did, oh man, huge amounts of matches that are so memorable. One of the matches had in 21, I loved it. There was one of the matches, end of 2020 and 21, that Deanna had a match with Taya. It was one of the best matches that I'd seen in a while that they had. They got good chemistry together. But then you're putting Taya Valkyrie, who has not been on mainline Dynamite, or from what I can tell, Collision for that matter, unless she was on the show I missed when I did Hard to Kill. They're letting her have a match with Deanna just to throw a body at her. This is why I get angry. You got Taya Valkyrie, who is one of the best women, and you're doing nothing with her. Zero. And that pisses my ass off. Now, I got to say something about one other woman. Selena Deeps will be showing up in Collision. Finally, Selena Deeps will be airing on Collision. Do not know who she's going up against, but I'm glad to see that she's going back on the roster. Thank you. But I'm hoping and I'm begging that she doesn't just deal with Hiro Kushida. That would piss me off, that the only thing they would have for her is to throw her right back to Hiro Kushida. And many people say, dude, that makes sense. Before she had the seizures, she was dealing with Hiro Kushida. Yes, I know. But at this point, I want something new for her. This is what many people would do, formulaic. I don't want formulaic for Selena Deeps. I want something new, something fresh, something that we can grab onto. She just came back from not one, not two, 3 freaking seizures. 3. She deserves better than just be thrown back with Hiro Kushida, who herself is not doing anything in the main roster. Whether she's going back and forth from New Japan and here, it doesn't matter. She deserves something on the main roster. I don't care. Let's move on. 6-man tag, which supposedly got turned into the Trios title match, unless I'm wrong, because I thought when they said it was going to be a 6-man tag, I thought it was going to be a rematch between the Bang Bang Gang versus the Mogul Embassy. I thought that's what they were doing. They came out first, but it wasn't them. It was the Acclaimed. And they said it was a 6-man tag, but from what I understand during the match, it became a match for the Trios title. I'm confused. What the fuck was that? Unless I'm missing something, unless maybe I didn't hear it correctly. And that's not too much of a... And I'm going to make this clear. Today has been quite a very unusual day. There was a steam pipe leak and not kind of like an explosion, but basically in New York. If you don't know this is for people who do not know New York. in Manhattan or in the Bronx and some parts of Brooklyn, we have piping that goes to a majority of the houses that are run throughout the city. This isn't something that is always done by the people in the building. It also can run through buildings that are supplied by the city itself, where we get steam pipes. And we had to burst the steam pipe, and right now they're still working on it. And I can tell you this, that steam pipe, it was whoosh. Somebody thought someone's car was on fire, and they used a fire extinguisher on the car, and they didn't realize until they looked under the car that they just saw huge amounts of steam coming from it. They didn't know what it was. They had to call in the fire department, not once, not twice, not 3 times, 4 times they called the fire department. And the police was there until Con Edison. That's the ones who usually deal with steam or electricity or gas to come in and deal with it, which they're doing right now. So they had been working on and off throughout the night. It's been noisy. And I've heard like steam escaping, which I went to check my window because I'm going to be honest here. If something goes wrong, I'm going to get dressed and get out of my damn apartment, because if there's a steam explosion, the shockwave can hurt a lot of people, including me. So I might have been distracted. But, that was long-winded. But, I'm just like, what? I'm confused. And the Acclaim wins due to the fact that Daddy Ass was in trouble. He was about to get nailed in the head. And it was Jay White who grabbed a chair and saved him. So the Bang Bang Scissor Gang is perfectly fine working as it is. But I'm going to tell you the truth here. Right now, the Bang Bang Scissor Gang should lead to one match. One. Only one match. And that is the merger of the Trios title and the 6-man tag titles from ROH and AEW. They need to merge those damn titles. They need to merge them. Those titles should go away. One of them needs to go away, and they must do a unified Trios title or a unified 6-man tag titles. They need to end this. This is stupid. It doesn't matter how people love ROH, which you need to watch Honor Club to watch it. Guys, think about this. I'm saying this now. Think about this. You're going to, starting in late 2024, going to 2025, and someone asked me, I'm not answering here now about WWE and Netflix and them not having any service between October until they go on Netflix. I will answer it in the Gump Report. But that's a lot of services you're going to have to deal with. WWE, then AEW, then other stuff that's going to still be on other streaming platforms, then NWA still streaming, and now TNA streaming. Possibly. I had heard a little rumor. I'll have to research that first, and that'll be its own separate video for Gump Report. I will not answer here. But you can tell that's a lot of money people who love wrestling will have to deal with. But why do they? If they don't do it, I'm going to go, why? This is your best chance to combine the two titles that can go across ROH and AEW. It would be the wisest thing to do. 1 6 set, not 2 3 sets. 1 trios or 1 6-man tag titles that will go across all of the company. That's just me, guys. Tell me below. Let me see. Let me give you like this when it comes to Darby Allin and Sting. It was poignant. It was pungent. It was straight to the point. What he said about Sting, and supposedly it was legit, I liked it. Him saying that in 2015 when you got hurt, no, what was it, 14 or 13? 13 or 14 when Sting went to WWE, got hurt by Seth Rollins. People got so mad. I was one of them. And then in 2015, trying to get back into shape, and he went and worked with, not 15, but well after that. But when he was about to come into AEW, he went to his home, he went to his ring, he trained with him, said, you still got it. He said, that is what I told you. And now you're here. And now you're going to be ending your career. Let's be tag champions. And he agreed. They hugged each other, and then they went to the segment that was very important. And I'm going to tell you this. If they had not done that segment we would have a problem. And that segment was Big Bill and Ricky Starks. They had to do it. That segment was needed because if they didn't do a segment with Ricky and Bill, it would be so easy to just say, well, they're giving it to him. Now, was it done well? It was okay-ish, but let's make it clear. Big Bill and Ricky, they got chemistry, but they barely have done much. And we know that Sting should win those titles, retire with one of those titles, and then they reproduce new tag titles going forward to go with the new ranking system in February. Let them win those titles. Let them carry them to Revolution to go against the Bucks. Let them win that match, and let Sting retire as a tag champion. And then they do a new tournament for the new tag champions. The best way to say it. I'm just saying. Final match. Oh, I like this. I think that might be the title. Miru Suzuki versus Adam Copeland. Something you would never think you would ever see. Edge versus one of the legends of New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I remember the scrum when Edge had his first match. And he made it very, well, not his first match, when he appeared in AEW. And he did what he did. And he said, I am chomping at the bit to get into the ring with people I've never dealt with before. It's going to be steak dinner for me. He said that and he meant it. He wants to be in a company where he can contribute in a different way than he would have in WWE. Let's make it clear. They gave him a Legends contract. He didn't have to do a lot. He was going to be locked into a contract where eventually they wouldn't even care about him being on the main roster. They would have him go in the back, work with some of the other older wrestlers to train the new ones, even if he could still go. They wouldn't have cared. They would have just kept paying him to just keep him on the roster so he wouldn't do anything more than what they felt he should have. Here, he is loving it. Yeah, he's getting his ass beat up a lot. But he's loving having this new experience. The guy has not been away from WWE since before he joined as member of the Brood. And understand, I didn't see the Brood, but I did hear about it. At least in that respect, before Edge and Christian came off on their own. They were part of the Brood. I had heard what the Brood was, but I never got a chance to watch it when I was going to, when I started working, when I was actually going to technical college, met my wife, then started working. We had a kid. I had no time to watch wrestling, but extremely rarely. So he's been there since the 90s. The 90s, guys. He's been there as long as my son was alive. So seeing him in another company, I know this is not just a new experience. It is a fun experience. And there's nothing wrong with that. And this match was a fun match for me personally because I got to see, again, Miru Suzuki, a legitimate UFC fighter who went to pro wrestling, knock the head off of Adam Copeland. It was an extremely rough match. I'm not going to tell you it was perfect. It wasn't. I mean, this is the first time I ever faced one another. So there was some botchiness between the two. But Edge sold it most of the time like a champ. Miru Suzuki sold it the way he wanted to. In the end, Miru Suzuki lost the match. But as Adam grabbed the mic afterwards and said, I've never been hit that hard before. He says respect, tries to shake a hand. Nope. Suzuki walks away. That's Suzuki. He didn't like losing. He doesn't care. He does not like losing. Especially to someone that came from a rival company. Not AEW, but the one that existed when he was working. Because Suzuki's been around since the 2000s. Edge has been around since the 90s. Trust me, he probably respects Edge like crazy, but come on. This is Suzuki. He had to do that. And he does say afterward, we did see Christian watching. He's disgusted. And Adam says to Christian, I am still coming for you. I'm going to keep going through everybody until I reach you. And I'm going to get that title. And that's how they end. It wasn't a bad show. It wasn't. But I do have my gripes about it. I do have my concerns about it. You worry about certain people, like when it comes to Trent, when it comes to Bill and Ricky, what's going to happen, especially will they combine the 6 titles? into one unified titles. They need to do either the unified trios or the unified six-man tag. They need to do it so it can go across all the company, because this is ridiculous. Having it like the way it is, it's not helping. I don't want to keep seeing the six-man tag titles from ROH on Dynamite TV. Either keep them there or combine the damn titles and just let them go anywhere. ROH, Collision, Rampage, and Dynamite. It makes better sense. It's more cleaner. Just do it. I'm just saying. Peace.